Hello everyone and welcome back to the Retro Room. It's time for an update video and basically part one of many parts showing you every single item in the Retro Room. So without any further ado, let's go. I'm going to get behind the camera, not in front of it, and let's see what we can see. Okay, starting up with what was formerly known as the horror wall, we have got Return of the Living Dead Part 2, the British Jaws Laserdisc release, the American release of Jaws 2 in the early to mid 90s, Jaws 3, I think that's late 80s, Jaws 4 The Revenge, Jaws the Revenge, the arcade book of arcade marquees and posters and things from all the arcade machines, a Wico Command Control trackball for an Atari or Commodore VIC-20, or plus, what was the one before that? PET, I think. Game Boy box, but no Game Boy. In television games, let's go through. I won't mention them all, just scroll through slowly. I used to have Dragonfire. That was fun. I love these iMagic cases, so cool. A couple of CBS's here. That version of Zaxxon's pretty lousy, I have to admit. I think the Commodore version is far superior. 3 copies of Burger Time. Triple Action's great because it's got the car one on the bottom. That's really cool. Tron Deadly Discs. 3 copies of Shark, one of them Canadian. I've always loved Intellivision, and I have still got mine and it's still working. I tested it on the weekend. Rock and Roll Racing on the Super Nintendo. What a great game that is. NBA Jam Tournament Edition, Mortal Kombat 3, Afterburner for the Commodore, and some more on television games. This here being the Motocross, being the predecessor to Racing Destruction set by the same guys that made this game. Pro Action Replay for the Super Nintendo, so I'll use my codes. The Commodore version of Double Dragon, which isn't bad but isn't great. Apparently Super Cobra on the Intellivision is actually quite rare and worth the money, apparently. Forza Motorsport 4 Limited Collector's Edition, which I haven't played yet. I've played the Essentials Edition. Some PS2 games and PS1 games as well. Plenty of car racing ones. That's my main focus. One of the Aussie ones there with the Commodore and the Falcon. Plenty of that and some PS1 games as well at the bottom. Coming around, got Bruce Lee figurine from Game of Death. Up here, oh sorry, before I go to there, on the weekend, I just want to mention, on the weekend I think it was Friday, early Friday morning, I had a dream about being back in the 70s and 80s with all this Sansui and other electronic gadgetry, like the Sansui amplifier that we have, which is somewhere around here. I can't find it all of a sudden. The record player, 8-track, having boom boxes. I've got one boom box again, but having all that, and I had, in this dream, I had all this equipment, Pioneer Laserdisc, all sorts of stuff. And I woke up and I got inspired and I said, right, I'm going to go through this shed and get my Amiga set up. Finally, I'm going to make a few changes and get all my stuff set up so that everything is working, everything is easily accessible, use every television. So it may not look like much has changed around here, but I've actually removed the VHS deck from the bottom here and put the Mega Drive in. Mega Drive 2 is now set up on that television. I was running Super Skid Marks, the racing game, the other day. The PS1 also goes on that screen. The Super Nintendo goes on that screen, and the PlayStation 1 goes on that screen. And of course I've got the Super Beta Hi-Fi Betamax machine there, which is still probably worth about $900 to $1,000 if you can find one. And I've got 2 Lerva TVs here and a Panasonic very late CRT from about 2002 or something like that. So they are now hooked up. Before it was a jumbled mess and this TV wasn't being utilised. And when I was at one point, I was dragging cables across here. Now it's it's all set up. It was a bit of a mess, so that's all done. So that was good. So I had a really good night Friday night. I actually got a lot done. All this here is still the same from before, obviously, but it's from recently. But it looks really nice. Got the horrors on the first 4 rows of each shelving unit. I now have my Sony SLV X810, which does need a service, hooked up here, and it's hooked up into this Sony here, which is the 822. So this one and this one play on this screen. I've got my Laserdisc player down playing on this screen. That Laserdisc player on the bottom, which is a karaoke, is running on this screen as well. And I've got an Hitachi, and the Lerva from down before I was showing you is now here, but not hooked up because it's not really working that well, so I might just use it as a rewinder. My Atari Flashback 6 needs a cover over it. I might get a bit of clear plastic wrap or something and just cover over that. The Commodore 128D has been moved over a little bit, so there's more room on this side and that side. This is still the same. This machine is now on the fritz. It's not working, so the power supply cuts in and out. What else we got here? I have organised a bit of this. Again, this is all basically spare Commodore disk drives. I think all of these need to be looked at and maybe repaired. They run, but they just don't want to. If I hook them up to a 64 like this one, it doesn't want to. They don't want to load. The lights come on, but they don't want to load. I do have my 1972 Philips VCR format machine, the original N1500, on there. What I'm doing soon is getting a Besta system from IKEA, and all of this is going to be gone, and there'll be a thing here with all these pull-out drawers and all my Commodore discs that are in here, and my spare and television cases, more Commodore discs, DVDs, all these controllers, joysticks, all this stuff will all be going in proper drawers, much better than this. This one here especially is a bloody mess. Look at that, white water on television. And that'll all be done. All my joysticks will be in better spots, and then I'll be able to display all these individually. I do want to get my 64 and my drives looked at. I've pulled out the Amiga, put it over here, and discovered that I don't have a power supply for this Amiga that I got off Jeff, which is disappointing. I thought I had one. I think John's going to come to the rescue. Thanks, John. This monitor powered up the other day. This is where I'm going to put it. There's nowhere else to put it. This is going to come back. But what I may also do is I'm thinking about putting this couch there, so there's more room to go up and down here. People can play games. And then put this one all the way along, which will go to about here. This one here can then go over there occasionally when I'm playing the PS2. But if it's not always used, I might put it in the garage. But until then, until I get my power supply for the Amiga through John and make sure it's all working, get everything sorted, it's just going to be as usual. What I did do though on the weekend, on Friday night, was I moved this Toshiba TV a little bit across, so it's not over here. And I've got my Panasonic disc DVD recorder, and which has got a hard drive on it, which has got about 35 old school movies on it from the 80s on there, like Top Gun and a bunch of other things. That's hooked up to this TV, so I can just run a movie, and then once that movie finishes, it just starts another one, which is great. So it's like having a really old version of Netflix, but only with 35 titles on it. That's there. This TV is powered up and is working, and the VHS part of it's working as well, so I'm playing tapes occasionally. The Master System 2 is also working on this screen, and the television I powered up and I was running, what was it, Zaxxon and a couple of other cartridges, and it's working on this screen perfectly as well. But this controller's a bit dicky, and the cable for this one's a bit shit, as you can see as well there. The Xbox, unfortunately, which is also here, as well as my Super Nintendo, the one I've had for a lot of years, that is on the fritz, sort of. The power supply is currently switched off. It's over here, the little red and green buttons there, as you can see. I'm powering it up and then pushing this button, and it's dying every 5-6 seconds, and then occasionally I'll just click it on and off and it's coming back on, and occasionally it'll run. I think the power supply is on the shits, so hopefully it won't die completely. If so, I'll have to get someone to sort that out as well. Luckily I've got 2 spares down there I can use for parts if needs be. So, going back to obviously showing you everything, this is the Pioneer CLD D515. This is what I call the possessed Laserdisc player, because occasionally if I have this thing plugged in and turned on at the power point, even with it on standby, the power supply occasionally will just die and it won't run, and then you leave it for a month and then you plug it back in and turn it on again and it runs again. So what I'm doing now is I've got it here, connected here with my Betamax. The Betamax is cool because it has this cable, this power plug here, but it's got a hole for another one, so which is pretty cool. So you can run that, plug that in, and then plug something else into it as well. And this is the Beta Hi-Fi machine. I love this thing. It's near mint. It's beautiful condition. So I just turn them on, run them, shut them off. That's it. They get powered off at the power point, and they seem to run longer, they last longer, and the power supply doesn't cut in and out. So that's what I'm finding better. On this box here, this is a switch box, so I've got Beta on here and I've got Laserdisc on here. I will add 2 other items potentially later on here and here, but it's a cool thing I can do. I've got another one over here which has got A and B on it, and that's for this combination here, or the PS2. Excuse me. So the PS2 is actually used to be plugged up through here, and it would go to a thing in the back. That's stuffed up, so I've gone through the side here. So instead of plugging in this out in and out for the other one over here, I've just gone plug that into there, put it into a switch box, and go boom boom, and whatever I want to play I can play. And Friday night I was playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and having a hell of a time on that. So that's a far better way of going, because I love PS2 on this screen. It's not good for racing games, but it is very good for Grand Theft Autos. So there you go, guys. I've also still got my Sony C6 Betamax here, still running. Excuse me. I had a cold recently and a sinus infection, so I'm pretty good, but I have the occasional cough. So this is just a rewinder. Its video heads are stuffed. Doesn't even bring out colour picture anymore. So it's a rewinder, and I've got to actually take this up, this off, and turn the thing to make the tape go in and spin, so I can rewind it. Sucks a bit, but it runs. It cost me $50 about 15 years ago, so it's doing the job. So obviously what I have here is a CLD 2950. This is a CLD D750, and that is a what? 2710K. Right, there goes my Star Wars floor thingy to keep the dust out of my shed. 2710K from the States. It's a 240 volt and 120 volt, but it's got an American plug on it. So I've got it hooked up with this little, whoops, with this little guy in there. As you can just see, the first one there is an adapter plug. So PS2. This is one of the later cheap laser brand Blu-ray players, multi-region. That's another one there, the older version, the laser. That's for American region 1 discs. This is for all region DVDs and region, I think most regions of Blu-rays, I think. So that's most of that machinery. Obviously you've seen that. This is a Samsung TV. We've got a Samsung here as well, and a LG there as well, so plenty of Asian brands. Panasonic, Commodore 64, disk drives, original Commodore monitor, which is I think what, a 1084, which will do the job for the old Amiga. And that'll do for this video. I'm going to show you some more stuff shortly. This one's been a bit long, But I'm also going to go through every single Commodore disc on one of the next videos so that you can see every title I have. There may be a few discs that don't work anymore, but I mean they're probably 30 odd years old, some of these, so if they've done the job for a long enough time, I'll get replacements at some point. So that's what I'll do next, plus I'll show you all these tapes. As you can tell, excuse me, as you can tell now I don't have many tapes left anymore. I only have this and the two down the bottom. The laser discs are here, and these ones here, and that's it. And I'm totally happy with that. That's plenty. Alright guys, thanks for watching my videos. Sorry that they're not mentally professional quality or anything like that, but I hope you like what you see in here. I love it in here. It's amazing. I love having Mel in here, my girlfriend as well, playing games. She's a real gamer, so that's cool. Just like me. Thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll be seeing the next one later on in the week. Bye.